Hey guys, so here's some new stuff made by ISDT that I'm going to give a quick review. It's the K1 Smart Charger and the C4 Evo. So maybe let's start with the C4 since it's sort of interesting in combination with the entire nano long range reckon free concept that uses these batteries here. So let's look at the C4 first. Alright, so the C4 is designed basically to charge lithium ion cells mostly, but also other types of cells, and it fits all sorts of different sizes. 18650 to 21700 go in there like this. You can just charge two of them at the same time. It also has spaces for AA and AAA cells, so this is all pretty well made, I would say. Also, the entire interface you have, and I'm not going to go through all the menus because it's pretty boring. It's sort of intuitive. I never read the manual. This just works if you're used to ISDT chargers. This is all pretty well and good. The thing I really like about it is the power supply. So it's just, the power supply is just a USB-C. You can get away with that because actually you're not going to charge this at outrageous amounts of current. This is charged at the maximum of 2 amps, so basically 4 amps at 4 volts are going through this. This is something like 16 watts. This one does 36, so you're going to get away with supplying this with your average phone charger or even laptop. So I would say it's a very high quality, solid charger if you're looking for something to charge your 18650s for a nano long range or your goggles or anything else. Now, the only question is for me is, well, this thing is around, it's always difficult because prices change all the time, but this thing is around 39 euros or 45 roughly US. And the question for me is why, get something like this and not one of those, cheap 18650 chargers from Amazon. Let me quickly grab mine to show you. Alright, so this thing here, this is just some cheap, it really feels cheap, it is cheap. I think it's like 15 euros charger from Amazon, but it also works. You just fit your 18650s in here and it basically does the same thing. You can see how they're charging and so on. The question for me is, why would you spend basically 3 times as much for this one? If you can just use this one, yeah, this one's got a nice color display and so on, but actually, do you really need it? I would say no. The only advantage is that the ISDT, you can actually, charge up to, I think, 3 amps. So you can really charge these with 2 amps. It goes much faster. This one, you can either charge it with 0.5 or with 1 amp. So this charger here has got more power, it's faster, but also it's 3 times the price. So I would say really think about if you really need, if you really need to charge your batteries faster, because this is, this is quite pricey for what it is. And yes, it's got this color display, but do you really need it? I don't think so. Let me think of other advantages. Yeah, one pretty big advantage would be also, I would say that there's 2 basically. First, more amps. Second, you can actually storage charge your 18650s. Honestly, this is something I never bothered to do. It didn't really seem to damage them, but with this one, you can storage charge your 18650s, and you have a bit more power. But if that's not so important to you, you can just get a cheap $10 18650 charger, and you'll probably be good. All right, so let's move to the K1. So at first, I have to say I was pretty impressed with this thing because, first of all, it does have its own power supply, so you can just plug this into 220 or 110 volts socket, and you'll be good. You don't have to, with this standard Q8, for example, you always had to carry a spare power supply. Yes, it's much smaller, but the power supply is actually huge for these things. So that was pretty annoying. With this, everything is pretty compact because you can just plug this into a socket. You can also run it from a DC power source. So that is quite nice that you have the flexibility here. It's got enough power. It's got 100 watts per channel on AC. So if you plug it into the socket, and 250 watts if it's DC supply. So All well and good. It's got 2 channels. It's got the usual ISDT menus, which I'm not going to go through, but they're intuitive. There's nothing really complicated about it. Everything just works nicely. You have these 2 channels. You can charge 2 batteries at the same time. And so far, so good. I mean, I was really happy with this thing because it's pretty compact for something that has its own power supply. It's something I could, nicely take along on a backpack if I do a trip for several days. But I just realized one thing is it doesn't seem to have a storage or discharge mode for the batteries, which is very weird because this is a over $100 charger and it doesn't seem to have storage mode to just put your cells on storage voltage. First I thought I missed something, so I read the manual. Couldn't find anything in the manual. I watched a review about it. And they confirmed that it doesn't have a discharge or storage mode, which that is mind-boggling to me. Why would you put this product out without a storage mode for the battery? So if this is really, for me it's not a huge problem because I have several other chargers I can use to storage charge. It's just nice to have this one in addition so I can charge more batteries at the same time without needing a parallel charging board. But if this is your only charger, this just doesn't work. It's really a problem. How are you going to storage voltage your cells if this doesn't do it? Very weird. So honestly, I cannot really recommend this without a storage mode. This is just such a big flaw that I do not really understand. I don't know if it makes the hardware slightly cheaper or something, but actually, it's really surprising. So honestly, be aware that this thing doesn't seem to have a storage mode unless it's very, very well hidden, and me and other reviewers didn't find it yet, but it doesn't seem to have one. So I hope that ISDT will just fix this with a software update, because this is just so much potential that is completely going down the drain. Now, speaking of parallel charging, this is a new parallel charging board by HTLRC that they sent me, and it's really nice, high quality. Now, honestly, I do not use parallel charging boards anymore, not even this one, for parallel charging, because a year and a half ago, I almost burned down an apartment when a battery, lit on fire on the parallel charging board and the entire board melted and everything was on fire. It was really a pretty significant damage to the apartment. Probably was could have been my mistake, plug in the battery wrong, have a full battery and an empty one, but these things just happen if you parallel charge very often. It was really small batteries, maybe I wasn't paying attention, I don't know what happened. It was for me just, okay, I'm not using these boards anymore, they're too risky. But this one does have a bunch of safety features in case something like this happens. It's got safety features here on the balancer port in case it's plugged in wrong or the wrong way. It's got some fuses here in case there's too much current going through. So this is something I'm using as extra safety precaution. Personally, I'm just plugging in one battery. Also, it's more convenient than plugging this directly into the charger. I'm just using this with one battery at the time. It's also got a discharge module, which is quite nice. I mean, this combination would actually work, I'm just noticing, because you could fully charge the battery and then discharge it back to storage mode, which is a stupid way to do, but with this you would basically get away with only owning this charger, but still weird. Now, never mind, back to this one. So if you're parallel charging, I would say this is the way to go because it's got extra safety features, a bunch of them. So parallel charging, in my opinion, is quite dangerous, but with this will at least, reduce the probability of any issues. Me personally, I have made such a bad experience with parallel charging, and I'm not even using this one for parallel charging, and I don't recommend it, but this one's really nice, really nicely made, really high quality, and a bunch of features. So all of these products obviously are, sponsored by affiliate partners, and all the links are in the description below. So if you want to support the channel and the work I'm doing, feel free to click on those links. Whatever you buy, it doesn't have to be these products, is a great support for me. So, all right, hope this was useful, and I tried to keep it as short and concise as possible. So hope you liked it, and thanks for watching.